Tonight in our KDL Solo Winners Finals, we only have winners from the solo competition. So the most high-level competition you're going to see until the grand finals. Coming at you guys right now. My name is Wolf. I'm joined by Peter. And we have some really stacked races coming at you guys today. Some amazing players.
Yeah, we've gone through the round of 32 and then the round of 16. And now we've already separated the groups into a winner's match and a loser's match. So we are looking at the top of the top gameplay here right before the finals.
Right, so the losers of today will face against the winners of the round of 16 losers match. So all players who lose today will face the winners of that match on the bottom side, right? And that is the only place of these 32 players where players will be going home. Or sorry, 16 players, not 32. I'm really getting ahead of myself here. But yeah, the 4 players who lose that losers match will be eliminated from the tournament. So a lot more stakes there.
Right.
But I'd say that, you know, for the match today, the level of play is just so insanely high. So many of today's players will be listed here in our track best records.
For sure, we're seeing a lot of jerseys from Live Sandbox as well as KWANGDONGFREECS. So far, only Ding being that kind of odd one out, being able to put himself in along with some members of Sensation.
Yeah, speed up here, percent as well. And, I mean, Cool has 2 track records he was able to pick up on his amazing run where he was able to get first place 5 of the 6 races that he played in order to qualify for this winner's final. So really high-level stuff here. This is what we were talking about. Cool's dominance here. Notice he picked up 5 first places. In round 3, he did get 7th, didn't pick up any points there, but it looks like if you just looked at his score of straight to 50, like, wow, he had a perfect run. He didn't, but he was very close.
Yeah, but it was super close to that perfect ending, which is why we're seeing a perfect warning being issued here, because if he didn't mess up in that round 3, he would have had the perfect score, and that's pretty much the goal of today. The other players don't want to let him have that perfect ending.
Yeah. To go 5 first places in a row is something that no one has been able to achieve here so far, but very close, as mentioned. As the hosts leave the stage, it's time to introduce all of our players and some of their accomplishments individually as we head into this. We've talked about Cool, 6 first place finishes here in solos. He has 2 track records right now and is averaging almost 6 points per race, which is insane.
Right.
That's how you qualify for the next round.
In the victory interview, he said he's going to make up for his underperformance, and that's absolutely what he did. A lot of expectations on the shoulders now of Cool, as we have Ding coming in now saying, now it's normal to think I'm in first place, and honestly, who can say anything against this guy coming in as the first place of his group that was so highly competitive?
Yeah, I'd say that his group was arguably easier, but nothing could take away from the fact that he's over 6 points average, has the most first place finishes, tied with Cool, of course, and has the most podium finishes out of any of our 16 players here. Knock on the other side, a pension-style player, meaning that he likes to play for playing around the middle of the pack consistently. Even though he doesn't put points into acceleration, he likes to play more aggressively. Notice he's actually 3rd in average collisions because of how he plays.
Right, and he's also known as the Super Observer mode because he likes to stay out of trouble and only goes for the really brutal fights when he actually needs to. And we have World right after coming in, and he wants to go straight to the finals.
And he is looking to look for it. He's actually only 2nd place here in podium placements, meaning top 3. A podium placement is a top 3 finish, just to teach you guys some of the terminology. So his performance is very consistent as well.
Right.
And yeah, love the DogWorld fan signs here, even though he is just World.
And next we have JiMin saying, the item ace, that's me. The only item ace right now to make it this far in the solo match.
Does hold a track record and is one of the underdogs, weirdly, in this group, even though he's been fantastic at solos thus far. Look at his average points, it's a sub 5. Doesn't have any other achievements except that he has that single track record. His teammate HyunSu here will be our green racer for this one. Definitely coming up as a much stronger player, I would say. And is also 2nd in podium.
Yeah. And we can see him saying Sunga is the only one who's not in the round of 16 and laughing about it because 3 out of 4 members of Live Sandbox here. Where's HyunSu? Or not HyunSu. Suga.
Yeah. Well, he did get an injury too and has recovered pretty well. InSoo's got his keycap here. InSoo a very confident player, and his confidence is deserved. I would say in this group right now, the player that you trust who has so much experience that this guy's got to get out of the group, right? No experimental picks. He is not actually going for the acceleration build that we did see from him last time when we went for the pension style play. He's going back to the 60-62.
Right. Speed. This is a player that you keep telling me about, Wolf, how he's so good at kart rider drift, and he's saying the real deal starts from now, so he's about to get more serious than ever.
Yeah, a player that was poked fun at for sensation because he was the only player left in solos, of course. Poking fun at sensation, but you can't poke fun at this guy. He has been so consistent, and you know, coming in as our 8th seed going into this one, he still has a lot of first place finishes, and a player who is absolutely able to turn it on when it matters most, and he just barely qualified with that final first place finish to actually get by 1 point over Neil into the winners match. If he had messed it up, it would have been Neil here instead of him. Surprising that it's not, but we're moving into our first track now of the solo winners finals. World Tour, Rio de Janeiro. Here we go, right off of the launch pad here on Rio de Janeiro. And this is going to be our starting race here to see who is going to get ahead. And Ding with a great start thus far, pulling massively ahead. Yeah,
Ding has a huge lead right now along with HyunSu. And they are taking the tightest turns here so far, not really losing any advantage.
Really clean start here. There's a lot of collision here. This is exactly what you want in solo speed, is to actually have enough of a gap to where you can avoid those collisions in some of these tighter turns, because everyone is working against each other and you're just out in front like, cool, I'm chilling, no one's bothering me. But he is losing a lot of momentum right now, and it looks like Cool might just barely, with this faster inner here, get the better of him. So far here, it's been his race, but Cool taking that lead, and Cool so dominant in his round of 32 group. We'll see how he performs here tonight.
But it's Ding, who also has had a phenomenal showing, now coming in to say, Cool, I know you've had so many first place finishes, but I'm not going to let you have that easily. InSoo also contesting that. It is really contested in that top 4.
Yeah, InSoo's like, remember what it looks like when I actually put points into my max speed instead of acceleration. I am going to perform well as we're getting to the final 500 meters here. InSoo with that max speed to see if he can block Cool here. Takes the better inner and blocks Cool in return, and will take first place. Cool hot on his heels. But InSoo, slow starter in this race, was able to avoid the chaos there and take that better inner turn there to secure first. So a big favorite to get out of this group and starting off on fire.
InSoo, this is the guy who's always in these solo match finals. He's always showing up and showing us why, because he's always consistent in these tracks. You can take a look at his track record and it's so clean.
Yeah. And setting the new record on Rio de Janeiro here, a new lower 113 than our previous record, and will be broken. So InSoo will have his track choice moving into the next one. Cool with a top 2 finish. It's not the first place he was consistently getting, of course, in the round of 32, but regardless, that consistency is still there. Ding as well. I think one of our dark horses, one of our underdogs, in control for most of that track. So I think we have a very clearly defined top 4 here.
Yeah, and Nog, he definitely wants to have some comeback. He finished 5th, and this is now going into the second track. It is going to be Glacier Snowbound Slopes. Starting off, track number 2, picked by InSoo himself. We see Ding once again in a nice lead. He's off by himself in the right side.
Yeah, Ding, his starts have been fantastic. And see if he can actually pull ahead. You will have to, on this track here, Glacier Snowbound Slopes, look for very aggressive inners to maintain your lead. And unfortunately, he was unable to do so, and will actually drop back quite significantly in speed now. Who's at the front here, using an aggressive nitro to actually bully his way through with no collisions. See if that risk pays off. Right now, it is still maintaining his first place spot, but small bump into the wall there, and Cool takes the lead.
Cool being so consistent right now, constantly being in that top 2 position. Now World, he's trying to block out however he can, and he's doing beautifully so far. They're literally neck to neck, World and Cool, but for the first time, we do see JiMin now trying to contest that top 4.
Yeah, we're nearing the end of the first lap right now as World here trying to sweep aggressively. If you can get a forced collision into one of those trees, it really widens the gap, but losing control.
Nice. Yeah, so many collisions there, everyone bumping into each other off of that wall as we take a little gander into the ski slopes.
Once you get into the ski slope here, that's when you have to have 2 nitros saved. You see almost every single player had those 2 nitros saved because you need to boost off of the spawn to actually further your lead, because it's essentially a track reset at this level of play because everyone goes in there, and you can have a slight edge obviously if you get there first, but everyone stacks on top of each other, so pushing ahead of the pack is so important. You need to have that follow-up nitro, so everybody used it very well there. Everything according to plan. World passed now by JiMin, having a surprising turn of events here, really bouncing back after having a -1 with the weak finish there on the first track. He's looking to turn the narrative.
Not only that, Nock firmly holding that 3rd place spot. He's the only player with a different card build using a 5063. He has that extra boost duration, and so far it has been working out for him because he is holding that position so tightly.
Yeah, it's really important too on this track outside of that ski slope to actually get that additional duration. It's going to push you into top 4 very likely. He's holding that top 3 spot right now as World moves back in. JiMin maintaining top 2. InSoo, our winner of the first track, struggling a little bit here actually through some of these turns as World taking a wider one here, wants to block. JiMin goes for it aggressively. You're taking the outer. Nock sees opportunity, but as the final turn comes across here, World giving way to JiMin as a collision comes through.
Nock was able to knock his way through and get that 2nd place spot. We see Speed doing a 360 because he knows he got that 8th place there.
Yeah, we'll drop down a point, of course, with this, but a huge win coming through from JiMin, who went from last now to the middle of the pack. So starting off with a -1, but picking up 10 points here will put him at 9. And that's going to be a huge glow up from him in terms of the standings. Whereas Speed, unfortunately, will lose a point there. And Ding, with a pretty consistent start, will pick up nothing for this with the 7th place finish. And honestly, I feel like the more this goes on, like sometimes the less we learn. Now Speed, really having a rough start here in this group and finishing last here, not ideal. We'll see if he can turn things around, because right now it's basically everyone is in a great spot except for him in terms of what we've seen from them so far. Speed's the one who's been struggling the most.
Yeah, and Speed and Ding, these two are by far the most amateur so far in the solo matches in terms of history. So the veterans are really coming to show right now why they are so highly coveted in these solo matches as we get ready to enter JiMin's track of choice, World Tour Boostwood.
Very close set here between all of these players here in our winners final. Right now, InSoo still holding 1st place after that win on the first track. We'll pick up 5 points the 2nd, so most consistent performance so far as we're on Boostwood now. JiMin and InSoo battling it out, but it's a very tightly packed top 4 here.
Really nice continuation of that lead coming in from JiMin. A lot of consistency right now as we see HyunSu and Nock taking a lot of collisions into each other. But HyunSu manages to find a way into that 1st place, breaking out JiMin's defense.
Yeah, HyunSu here really having, I would say, a pretty consistent start here in those first 2 races, but not the strong finish you'd expect from him. And now having the most aggressive start of them all here, as he is going to try to cut his way through. Snaked there wide to actually get a little bit of extra nitro charge. And is still competing with JiMin now. Has that extra nitro, as mentioned, to try to pass him here.
JiMin, he's holding on to that 1st place position so nicely so far, and now it's Cool trying to take that 2nd place, Nock taking the outer turn, and he manages to turn that into an inner, holding that 4th place spot.
Okay, we are in the 2nd lap here, fairly short track here on Boostwood, so things are starting to get really tight. Nock having some additional nitro, is going to use one here, but man, JiMin, he has been so good defensively here when he actually gets these leads. He holds onto them, but Nock sees an angle here, and he's going to try to block JiMin on this inner turn, and will do so.
Yeah, this is what Nock's been doing this whole time, taking the different lines and all of a sudden coming in with the better angle, but he gets knocked back by the HyunSu and InSoo Park-Soo duo.
Okay, here comes JiMin now, 200 meters to go, into one final attempt, but he's blocked on the corner, and it wasn't his fault, man, he did it just right, but there's too many players there, and if it was just between him and JiMin, excuse me, I think he actually wins that, but unfortunately the collision comes through after that corner, and HyunSu will actually be the one to take it as JiMin gets past in the final moments. InSoo, though, dropping down significantly to third place.
Yeah, that collision.
Yeah, but InSoo still, I mean, a top 3 finish after winning the first track, picking up 5 on the second, so 2 back-to-back third-place finishes. He's going to be at 20 points right now, as HyunSu will set a track record.
And that's 3 members of Live Sandbox in that 1-2-3, showing why this team has been so dominant here so far in the KDL preseason.
And the gap is starting to widen a little bit here now in terms of our standings. You know, Knock has looked pretty consistent, but he hasn't been able to have those top finishes he really needs.
InSoo, always having such a great personality.
Yep, first, third, and third. So picking up 20, man.
That's huge, man, right now.
It really is.
4th place is Cool. He's at 15 points, and Knock in 5th place, 6 points behind. The top 4 of this group is already starting to solidify.
Yeah. Big problem for the players at the bottom. They have a lot of catching up to do as the gap is widening now.
Especially for Ding and Speed, who are sitting in that complete bottom right now, 7th and 8th position. Speed with 0 points, while 4th place already has 15 points, and that is a really tall gap to close, even for Ding, because it's still a 12-point gap.
It really is. And unfortunately for Speed, still sitting at 0. You know, Speed fan here hoping for the best. But the gap he needs to close is quite wide. He's done it before. He did it to get here. He'll need to do it again.
We see so many fans coming in with their cheerfuls. Speed fan again. Show the speed of speed our fan wants. Coming in all the way from Jeonju, saying this is their last official visitation of the KDL of this season. As we get ready for HyunSu's pickup track, it will be Desert Ancient Aqueducts. Off we go into track number 4. It's InSoo, who is really far in the lead right now, 20 points in that first place.
Yeah, now this is Aqueducts, which is one of the craziest, toughest tracks. Like it looks calm at the beginning, but then when you hit this part right here where you have these 4 spheres, which are basic roundabouts, the drifting is so critical. And if you have enough control in first, you can actually chain these drifts together. But as you can see here, it's very difficult to do. InSoo pulling ahead here. Neither of InSoo and Speed here taking extreme risks right now, and I think Speed definitely should consider it because he had an opportunity there, I think, to pull further ahead.
Cool. Getting sent back all the way to 8th place after that collision into the wall. Now it's InSoo, JiMin, and HyunSu once again, the triple Live Sandbox.
And Speed, you know, he maintains a top 5 spot here, but he needs to do better than that. I think he had a better opportunity there to take something more aggressive and play riskier here because you can't play safe at this point. We were sitting at 0 points here in our 4th round, but ultimately he made his choice, and HyunSu is going to retake first place here. He is battling it out with InSoo right now.
InSoo definitely holding on to that lead beautifully so far with all the blocks coming in, making sure to keep Knock at bay as we see InSoo taking a bit of an outer line, coming right in to these drifts beautifully. No momentum lost at all for InSoo.
Yeah, this is exactly how you want to play this if you have enough space, which he does just barely over JiMin here to where he's not threatened by collisions. Now, this is where things get really cool, where you actually have an opportunity to pass here because it's such a wide part of track. Even though there's a ramp there, you have a lot more space, and JiMin utilizes it perfectly here to actually get first place. We're getting towards the end of this lap now.
Now we see HyunSu being able to take over that first place spot. So many players are close right now, all within the drafting range, but now it is HyunSu and JiMin and InSoo in that 1-2-3. Speed trying to take over, but InSoo with the good block, and now it's HyunSu who manages to do a back-to-back first place finish.
Yeah, he's going to pick up 10 points here. We'll jump up to 26, and InSoo will be passed here. InSoo in 4th, only going to pick up 3, so we'll actually see a shakeup now in the standings. But it's 2 Live Sandbox players, 1st and 2nd here at the top of the rankings. And, you know, you see a lot of focus, I think, by the observers on the back of the pack there, because Nock actually had saved a lot of his nitro. Looked like he was going to make a big push to actually force his way through, but it's just too narrow. He ends up finishing 5th. Speed, despite playing it pretty safe, gets top 3, but he is still down at 7th place.
Yeah, 7 points behind Nock. It's really hard to try to come back. It seems like if you're down in 7th to 8th place right now and you have such a point gap leading to up about like 10 points in difference, you have to get the first place finish. There's no other way.
There's no other way. You're going to need to win one of these now. And, you know, back-to-back here, control by Live Sandbox, 26 and 24 at the top of the standings with HyunSu and InSoo. The Soo battle we were talking about going to this, they're both in the lead as we move into Mine Gold Rush. Off we go here on our 5th track. Ding at 2-point speed at 5. Ding currently the record holder on Mine Gold Rush, and he's going to have to show his prowess here once again, because these players, like you said, even 2nd place just isn't good enough if you're going to qualify at this point for the finals tonight.
Right, in the 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place position, they're only being separated by 2-3 points right now, so we see InSoo holding that 2nd place really nicely with HyunSu at 3rd. They are definitely fighting for even a single point.
Yeah, Cool, World, and Nock so strongly competing right now for qualification, because that's really close. You know, we have a very clearly defined top 3, but the rest of the 5 racers are still in the contention, but it's really Nock here at 12 that you're like, you're clearly, oh, this guy's quite literally knocking on the door as getting to the halfway point of this track. Right now, World in very great control here. Ding as well, showing his prowess of this track. As InSoo, man, he is the observer tonight. He is actually seeing all the angles.
Yeah, I mean, InSoo with the blocks as well, once he's in the lead, prevents World from taking any drafts whatsoever. Just so much mechanically high-intensive plays coming out, and HyunSu also now blocking out Cool, who is trying to look secure that 4th place finish.
Yeah, HyunSu and InSoo, I mean, these guys are teammates, but it feels like this is a 1v1 for a lot of this, the first and beginning of the 2nd lap there. As Cool is challenging here, but he just can't break through. InSoo and HyunSu holding these tight angles, but also on these wider turns. Look at how InSoo breaks away there. Wow. And he and HyunSu are actually just going to try to set up drafts here and pull ahead of everybody else. Speed, though, in top 3. This is another potential opportunity for him to pick up some additional points here.
InSoo,
100 meters.
He tried to draft ahead of HyunSu, but HyunSu, once again, 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
First place finishes, managed to block out his duo, InSoo, and what a strong showing from it.
And now he's going to pull even further ahead. You know, with that last one, he was able to pull 2 points ahead. Now he's going to pick up 10 additional points. A 4th place finish coming through from InSoo means he's only going to pick up 4. And the gap widens here, but I think not only does it widen between 1st and 2nd, but it widens in the middle of the pack. As World also will drop a point here, finishing 8th. Cool also getting 0 points. And Ding is actually potentially going to break through here if he can have a few more consistent performances, because we know we're going to have at least 2 tracks left. More than that, if HyunSu keeps playing like this, who knows? Because it does seem like right now we're on track for 2 more tracks here. That's the most likely scenario. So we'll see if some of these players at the bottom of the standings can steal a win away, because they so desperately need it. But for World and Cool, really lackluster performance on that last track, hurting the momentum for sure.
For sure right now, Cool. He wants to maintain his ranking in the top 4, but Nock was able to find a way to take that 4th place spot from him. Now 2 points in the lead, so perhaps Nock and Cool, the most important players to keep our eyes on, as we see a fan from Nock as well.
Yeah, one of the rising stars of this season, really, Nock, and just looked so good, but nothing is guaranteed, right? And for some of these players, going to your first finals, if you can actually break through that top 4 right now. But so far, it has been the veteran Live Sandbox players who have been in control. We're moving into our next track now, Glacier Extreme Stadium.
begin our round number 6 of winners solo match. The track is picked by HyunSu himself, but he's all the way back in 8th place.
Yeah, starting off a bit rough here, but InSoo, on the other hand, this is a track he is one of the tracks he holds a record on right now, and he's doing very well at the start here. Extreme Stadium has, at the beginning of the first lap, a very tight turn early, so you do see a lot of collisions. So oftentimes you see a big gap between, you know, top 2 and the rest of the pack. In this case, it's going to be top 3 as Nock is trying to take these aggressive inners, but will actually have a collision himself.
Yeah, these collisions are definitely coming in huge right now in the terms of standings. It is Ding and InSoo alone up in that 1 and 2 position coming into the hairpin turns. Our players usually execute them beautifully, not a lot of mishaps happening.
So keep in mind there's another 1v1 basically happening right now between Nock and Cool. Nock at 17 points, Cool at 15. As we head into the second lap here, watching the mini game between these two players is going to be so incredibly important for which one of these players is going straight to the finals right now. And you look at the standings as well, they're neck and neck. They are so close to each other here. But Nock actually pulling further ahead here. And this is a big problem if you want to qualify tonight. Cool is going to need to overperform. I mean, look how close they're 3rd and 4th right now.
Cool, he manages to find that angle though. He's coming in now, trying to overtake Nock at 3rd place. The rivalry between these two is an absolute treat to watch. We have Ding and Speed constantly being the block factor of Nock.
This is the kind of performance you can expect from Speed. Looks like he's down and out, but he will just pull off a 1st place finish and pull back into the standings, become relevant again. Tight corner on the hairpin, and he is pushing for it here. He's going to get over the wall here, and Nock. Final push right now. Him and Cool are so neck and neck. If Nock gets first, it would be huge.
He's going for the tight outer line to the right, but it's a tie. How?
They both tie. They both cross at the exact same time here, and it just doesn't get closer than this. These two players, neck and neck, but Speed picks up 10 points. That'll shoot him up to 16. Suddenly, he's a lot more relevant. And also with HyunSu underperforming, we actually might have an extra track to play here. HyunSu finishing in 6th means he only gets 1 point. So we know we're going to have 2 more tracks again no matter what. And it often ends up being the more races we see in solo, the more defined things get, the more obvious things look. But not tonight. The more races we play, the less sure we are of anything. HyunSu is still going to stay in 1st, but InSoo closing the gap here. But look at the rest of the standings. 25, 24, 22. 16 now for Speed with that 1st place finish. It is anyone's road to the finals now.
Nock is barely holding on to that 4th place spot, and he needs to hold on for dear life because something in Cool's eyes, this man, he's out hunting. He doesn't want to go to that loser's bracket. He wants to go to the finals now. It's getting so competitive up in here.
It really is. This is exactly what I wanted to see from tonight's race. It is just action-packed, going the distance. Everything is relevant. Every race matters. And we'll see who's going to pull ahead here now between the middle of the pack here as we move into Mine Winding Slopes. Round 7 is away, and this is extremely uncommon, by the way, to even go to 7. Like, 7 is usually the maximum. We know we're going to have at least one more after this. So it's wild how deep this run is going in our winners finals. It's cool. Currently holds the 1st place spot. Passed by Speed, though.
Right. Speed is doing really great right now. He wants to make sure that he becomes relevant in that top. Oh, no! As we say that, huge collision sets him back all the way.
I mean, that might be the it for him. Like, straight up. I mean, it's so hard to recover from that. I mean, I don't think he's going to retire necessarily, but, man, your chance of advancing just dropped so massively there. He's pushed into the wall there, hits the railing, and there's scaffolding, I guess you could say, and that's that. That's the end of your race.
Unfortunate stuff for Speed, but on the other hand, if you take a look at Cool, he's in 2nd place, Nock at 6th place. Cool now going for that 1st place. He knows that he needs all the points he can get to get into that top 4, and he is maintaining it beautifully.
Yeah, he really is here. InSoo actually makes a mistake himself, but actually catches a bunch of different players here. This actually pushes Cool and World. These two players who are so neck and neck right now in the standings into first and second. Cool will take first, World to second. And man, this group just keeps getting more interesting as Speed will finish in 7th, actually passing InSoo, in fact, so...
These big mistakes, you just do it once and it sets you back all the way, and that's been happening so far in the solo matches today of the winner groups. Players constantly switching places. You have a player like Cool coming in hot with the new record out of nowhere with the first place finish, but before this, it was all Live Sandbox members dominating. It just keeps going back and forth.
It's wild that InSoo, with that one mistake, actually...
He's in 3rd place now.
He moved to 3rd place, but he also really helped out Cool and World because he gave him a chance to get more points just from one mistake alone. Now we are in potentially final race territory, though, because HyunSu was able to get enough points to secure 40. That means if he wins this race, and only if he wins this race, it will be our final race of the winners' finals. So keep an eye on that, as the standings are extremely close right now. Anyone could qualify pretty much here as we move into Village Boom Hill Tunnel.
We begin our round number 8 of winners solo match. Cool holding the best track record here.
So right now, if you are World or Ding, if you are or Speed, you're hoping first of all that HyunSu does not get first place. Like that, you're doomed. You're not making it. It's not going to happen. You also then need to hope that the other players who are close-ish to you, like JiMin, also do very poorly here.
But those two players you just pointed out are doing great.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem.
They're leading out right now. Ding coming in with the 2nd place. A lot of body blocks being done. It feels like a 1v1 each players are doing because they're grouped into 2s.
They certainly are. JiMin, you're trying to hold on. As it's getting very, very tight up in here. JiMin with a collision here is going to hurt him quite a bit as Ding moves up into first place.
Yeah, the collisions are absolutely shaking up the rankings as we see Cool now here in the 1st place, trying to keep HyunSu away from that 1st place finish because you don't want to end on this track.
Cool here, pushing up into 1st now, and HyunSu, I mean, you can see just how close it is. Oh man, Speed and Ding together just, I mean, those are two players who so desperately need to do well. If HyunSu passes Cool here, it's all going to end right now, and he's not able to do it. Cool blocks him out. We will have another race to play here. But man, it was close, and that really hurts, man. Speed and Ding just been plagued by misfortune here, and what was a great middle of this series, where they were making the run. Like, okay, looks like they're both doomed, both going to be irrelevant in this winner's final, and then slowly creeping up. Speed wins a race, but then almost retires, falls back to 7th here with Ding in 8th one more time. Neither of these players... At the beginning, if they were just competing against each other, you'd be like, well, this is not that big of a deal because we both are 0 and -1. But now you're competing with Nock and JiMin, who are a whole 1st place essentially ahead of you right now for World as well. You know, the gap is quite wide, and it's not impossible, but a lot of really weird scenarios are going to have to occur if they're going to qualify. It's basically doomed.
And HyunSu with that 2nd place finish now, having 47 points in total, only needs 3 points to finalize the standing, which he only needs to come in at 5th place or better.
Yeah.
And so far, HyunSu, he's been doing just that. We haven't seen him go below that 5th place, so if that consistency happens in this next track here, picked by Cool himself, it is going to be the last one, and that is going to be held in World Tour Terracotta Twister. Nine
tracks here that we have gone into as we are seeing some very aggressive moves here off the starting block as InSoo will move up in the 1st, but keep your eyes on these players in the middle of the pack. Nock right now, JiMin and World. It's really Nock and JiMin who are the closest ones, and that's the most relevant battle we're looking at here because you're not passing Cool, HyunSu, or InSoo. But if they all perform poorly, if Nock and JiMin are at the bottom of the standings, the World has a chance maybe if he gets first place, for example. But that also relies on HyunSu falling down to 6th, 7th, or 8th. This is crazy. Speed!
No,
oh, man,
Speed
really underperforming tonight, man. When the pressure was on, he did it last time, but he is not going to the finals tonight.
He fell victim to the Terracotta Twister. Why this track is named Twister. And if Cool gets first place, he's also able to close off this track. So definitely, you don't want to see that happen, but HyunSu, man, he's in that top 4 consistently.
Yeah, he really is. So JiMin here versus Nock, a really important storyline to keep your eyes on. As you can see, JiMin right now in 7th, Nock pulling ahead here. He needs to have more than 6 points above, or JiMin needs to have more than 6 points ahead of Nock here in this if HyunSu finishes that way. And it seems very difficult to do so given him his current 7th place standing.
Yeah. And there were some collisions there in the front of the pack, but it didn't set them back too far. It is still Ding and World and InSoo in that 1-2-3. Now HyunSu actually drops to 6th place. If that is held, then we will have another track.
Yeah, and so far it's looking like it might be. We're getting close to the end of the track here, and HyunSu is actually doing a great job of blocking him out right now, his own teammate, but InSoo making a cut through here, trying to go into the top 3 spots. World looking like he is going to maybe take first place here, so critical for him at 18 points. HyunSu, 6th place. And it looks like we're going to another track here.
Oh my goodness,
We are going to another one. The World's going to take the win here, jump up to 28 points. And just when you think it couldn't get more interesting, it just keeps going.
It doesn't stop here in the KDL preseason. When we have a winner solo match, you know it's going to be a banger, and they are absolutely delivering. World getting his first place finish in the solo match today.
So 1 point goes over to HyunSu. So now he has 48. So still, like, basically the same story. He needs to get bid. If he gets 2 more 6 places, that's it. But now Cool and Nock can also end this. But we have we still have a very defined top 4 right now.
Yeah.
And that's where things get, you know, important for seeding and stuff like that going into the finals. But that's much less important than qualification.
Right. So
And
now,
yeah, go ahead.
the problem is World is at 5th place at 28 points with InSoo in 4th place at 39. World, even if he gets 10 points in first place, it is not enough to qualify unless InSoo gets last place, 8th place, to lose a point.
And that's going to be very difficult because also HyunSu and Cool need to be at the bottom of the standings as well to not finish it. But we're moving into Factory Facility 5, our 10th round here in our winners finals.
Our track number 10 of the day. This could be the final one. Our players are taking the aggressive cuts to build their booster gauge. Such an important match.
It really is. No one's able to get an early enough nitro to go for that first turn, but we see that now they're starting to come online here. And I mean, right now it is really like this is kind of like a bonus race. I mean, we never go to 10. I mean, this hasn't happened all season long. This is insane how close this has been. But I think it just speaks to the level of play of these players right now. As World needs to finish first, and he needs a miracle otherwise. And we're looking at who's going to actually finish in these top spots for seeding as well, assuming that World doesn't make it, because I think that right now that's a pretty reasonable assumption. Same for JiMin, of course, Ding and Speed. Speed in first place right now, you know, that's ideal. But I think that one mistake on the previous track ended his chances of going to finals tonight. He'll have another opportunity in that final match after losers, but Cool in first place right now.
Yep, and it's only JiMin and World who are trying to get into that top 4, but JiMin, he's all the way back in 8th place, and World, he hasn't been able to catch up to Speed in that first place, so it is not looking very good.
Yeah, HyunSu looks like he is going to be finishing in top 5 this time to end this, so you know, there's just no way for World to pass through if that's the case, and this is kind of an anticlimactic ending, unfortunately, but maybe Speed can get one last finish first, and it looks like he will be able to just barely pass over HyunSu to take that first place, but we do have our top 4, and it is confirmed HyunSu will be the one to break 50 first. You have Cool, InSoo coming through as well. Nock, kind of an underdog story here, but he also will finish consistently enough to make his way into top 4. Roll with a top 3 finish here won't be enough. But I have to say, I thought it was a very dramatic 10 tracks of Kart Rider Drift here. And
For
also,
sure.
Speed gets the record. I didn't realize he broke the record on this final one. It's not going to be enough to qualify him, but it's a nice finish.
Look at that. In 6, 7, 8, how close everyone was in that 20-point range. But when it came to the top 4, that's where the difference was. Knock with 41 points, 8 points ahead of World in 5th.
Yeah. Just not able to do it enough. I mean, Ding and World both had that one really rough finish where the momentum was taken away. They never bounced back. You just can't afford to have that, whereas these players were all very consistent. There was a minute where, you know, you're looking at Cool and you're like, maybe he's not going to do it tonight, but then he actually pulled ahead of the pack. Same to be said of Knock. In the first 2 tracks, it was like, okay, well, he's around 5th, 6th, but that's not going to be good enough to beat the players of the caliber that we have in this group, but he just never stopped being consistent, and that is going to be enough. There's some emotional players here who will not be going to the finals tonight, but none of the players eliminated none of the players who did not advance are eliminated. It's weird to say that, but they're eliminated from this winners finals, but they can still go to the finals. They're going to play in that final match in a few days' time.
And once again, what a beautiful standing today. HyunSu having the most first place finishes out of all the players in this group, finishing at 55 points. Cool, so close behind to that 50 points at 49. InSoo and Knock, they were the ones to stay above 40 points to knock out World Speed, JiMin, and Ding.
It's crazy that World Speed, JiMin, and Ding are going to be players who compete with Neil in that final match. Assuming Neil makes it through losers, I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation at this point in time, but we might have a new champion of our first Kart Rider Drift preseason. You know, it could absolutely happen. As Cool has had a great season. Knock is one of these rising players who's gained a lot of popularity. I'm not saying he's a new player, but he's gained a lot of popularity this season. And it's really cool to see the results that we have here. I think World also has been given a lot of opportunity, especially in the team league for Kwangdong. He was very emotional with the loss here tonight, but it's not over, you know? Like, his season is not done until that final match. So he has that extra opportunity next weekend to see if he can qualify for the finals. But I can't imagine a finals without Neil.
Neil is such a outstanding player, not only for being a global player, but just his outstanding builds that he's shown us so far in the unique playstyle. And today we were also able to see some of that unique playstyle in Knock, who managed to qualify for the finals. He has a pension meta, and he's also able to close it out on a different kart body build. 5063 to be exact. The extra boost duration was able to secure him the consistent top 4.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to do that. Honestly, it didn't even look like he had a different build because he was actually competing for those top 3 spots so consistently. Here are our results, of course, for the entire day. We did have Sensation coming with a, I would say, slight upset win over Planet. Slight underdogs there, but really unfortunate for Planet because it will, of course, prevent them from having any chance of moving on to playoffs.
Yeah, Acid Fly took his 3rd defeat in ace match in a row here, unfortunately. So Planet and Sensation end up both being disqualified, but both teams did show a good showing at the end. They both got 2 wins each. It wasn't a 0-win situation.
No, definitely not. This was a 0-win situation for Reboot in terms of all tracks. They did end up going 0-6 to Aura, who were definitely our favorites, but we thought maybe Reboot would be able to take an item set at least. Didn't happen. It was a very one-sided affair as Aura moved up to 4-2. One of the challengers, I think, to Live Sandbox and KWANGDONGFREECS right now. Definitely a dark horse story for our postseason. And in solos, we'll talk about that in a minute. This is just our standings. So like I said, Aura tied with Rocks, but we definitely know which of these 2 teams is stronger. It's quite apparent in terms of the score lines here. So,
right.
And I think those are actually
Swapped.
reversed. Yeah.
It should be Aura in 3rd place because they've had phenomenal set wins and round wins. So that's why we are referring to Aura as a stronger team than Rocks. And based on the standings, it's confirmed. The top 4 teams, once again, they are moving on. It's KWANGDONGFREECS, Live Sandbox, Rocks, and Aura. So congratulations to them. Well deserved.
Yeah. Exactly, and here are, of course, our winners who are going to the finals. Cool, Knock, HyunSu, and InSoo. So both the Battle of the Soos definitely was a real battle for who was going to get first place. HyunSu was able to take it in the end. But 2 of our big favorites, I think, to win the whole thing. And tomorrow, we will have Neil, Chorong, Sungbin, Luning, Kosu, Perfect, Spell, and Summer battling it out. I think there are some very clear favorites.
Right.
And basically everyone who's the favorite to win that losers matchup was kind of upset in their round of 32 group. So anything could happen there tomorrow, to be honest with you, Peter. I want the best player to win, but again, I can't imagine a finals without Neil, and he will have to both win this and the final matchup against today's losers in order to get there. So a road we didn't expect to see, but maybe we'll see that lower bracket run come to fruition.
And for next match, we have some exciting matchups. It is going to be GWANGDONGFREECS versus Finale Esports, followed by Live Sandbox versus Rocks. We have a lot of really good teams here that were able to show a really good showing in the preseason so far. And once again, the losers match will be our featured solo match. We have Neil, so you want to make sure you come and tune in for that one.
Yeah, tomorrow is going to be big. You also have the best two teams. And Rocks, with an upset win over Live Sandbox, could solidify their spot in third place. I think it would be a huge upset for them to take it because they have been so weak in item mode, and Live Sandbox is arguably the best speed team, especially with Sunga returning. His health issues are kind of fading away. He's recovering quite well. So I imagine that it would be a huge upset if Rocks wins that one tomorrow, but if they do, it could be huge for them. So very exciting one. Whereas KWANGDONG versus Finale does feel like it could be a stomp. KWANGDONG's looking to take their 6th win of the tournament and get ready for that final match against Aura. But we have seen crazy things happen this season.
You never know. The banana, as they say, bananas are heavier than the usual. So definitely I want to see some upsets happen there if possible, because that would especially shake up Guangdong's mentality going up against Aura, which is a big matchup as well.
So those matches we just showed you tomorrow are going to be hype. Make sure you tune in. You do not want to miss it. If Neil is eliminated, if he gets upset twice and doesn't qualify for the finals, it would be a tragedy for all those fans around the world for Neil. But be here tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll see you then.